A special edition of the Jeff Cameron Show, one that features an undefeated Florida State University football team. Regular season in the books. Good night, Irene, regular season. Good night, Florida. One team moves on, plays more football. The other gets to sit back and analyze a 5-7 campaign. Meanwhile, Florida State readies themselves for the ACC Championship, now 12-0. And you know, we say this a lot at the start of the season. We can go through the hows and whys and what we think will happen, but the objective is, of course, to win the game. And the Noles have not lost one. They have not lost a game in over a year. Well, that is something to behold. They have not lost a game in over a year, October of 2022. Winners of 18 straight football games now for Florida State as they head to the ACC Championship game. And, of course, they don't all look so pretty now, do they? But they all in the same way, a way in which Florida State is on top. And I think that this team, at the very least, deserves the doff of the cap for grit, for toughness, for overcoming a lot. Now, I will say that we get into these debates about what this Florida State team is, and I think getting lost in that is a mistake because it's okay. Everybody's got an opinion about who they think are the 4 best teams, 5 best, 10 best, 20 best. We all have our thoughts on who would win, what game win, where, why, how it would happen, neutral field, at home, on the road, doesn't matter. Florida State has won 18 straight of these. They are undefeated. They are bringing in a top 4 class currently, probably going to do better than that. It's not over yet. They own the state yet again. That is back-to-back years of doing that. And they continue to find ways. It is a tough team both physically and mentally, and they've had to overcome a lot in both those areas. You think about, at this point of the season, where Florida State is at, and you realize that when we started the year, I think if I had told you that in some of the biggest games of the season, you wouldn't have either one of your starting offensive tackles, that you'd still win those games, you would not have believed me. If I told you that one of the prized pickups of the offseason in Jaheim Bell would be kind of a shell of himself halfway through the season because of what is clearly a nagging ankle injury, what it appears to be to me. I don't know what the official diagnosis is. He plays every week. He's got a ton of heart, but he's not the guy that you saw breaking tackles and sprinting to the end zone against LSU at the start of the season. There was another gear to him when this all began that's not been present lately. I commend him for playing like I commend all these guys who find a way to get out there if they can. Maurice Smith is ravaged with energy, injury, and yet he is just continuing to suck it up and find a way to fight through and give you everything he has. And we can go on because at various points this year, whether it's Johnny Wilson missing games, whether it's Keon Coleman fighting through and playing through injury despite not having his top gear as well, whether it be Jordan Travis, who, you know, of course, played hurt earlier this year and is now gone for the season. So many guys that you've watched have to go through this, and they keep winning games. And it's not always pretty, and that's a fair thing to say. Like, I don't get mad when I hear somebody say, well, gosh, they don't look as explosive. They don't look as good as they did earlier in the year. No, they don't. They don't. But you know what they don't do either? They don't lose. They don't lose. They just keep winning. And as evidenced by what was a wild rivalry weekend, it ain't easy to win. I mean, that Auburn team got smoked by more than, 30 by New Mexico State the week before playing Alabama. And they have that game won, if not for a miracle on 4th and goal from the 31 in a game that those poor fans will certainly never forget. Most of us as college football fans won't forget that ending. But Alabama needed that miracle to win a game against that Auburn team, who's been awful. You saw Washington have to fight like hell to survive, kick a last-second field goal against Washington State, a sub-500 Washington State team going into the game. This is the kind of stuff that you, if you're an objective fan, you know can happen on rivalry weekend. It's why we thought going into the game in Gainesville that, man, I think this is going to be a second-half game. I feel like Florida State's going to probably be mired in a bit of a fight here. partly because the injuries have mounted and Florida State hasn't been as good, but largely because obviously Jordan Travis wasn't going to start the game and you didn't know what you were going to get from Tate. I thought Tate would play better than he did. He did not. Survived it, found his composure in key moments, really led a critical drive. That 90-yard drive is the drive. Now all of a sudden, okay, you've got some things that are working. You've discovered you can do this. You can get first downs. You can put together a drive. You can make throws. You can find spots in a defense that has, been apt to give it up. I thought getting to halftime at 12-7 with all the things that had happened to Florida State in the first half on the road in that game, I thought that spelled doom for Florida. I thought they were in trouble. They should have been, and I think they had to have felt this way, up by more, but they weren't. They weren't. And why were they not? Because, again, this Florida State team fights like hell. That is the definition of mental toughness, physical toughness, and being well coached. Mike has instilled in this group a toughness. Again, be it physical or mental or both in this case, that is always on display. There are these moments in games. It's happened a lot this year, in particular down the stretch, where you're watching and you think, they're in a little bit of trouble. They're in a little bit of trouble here. But if you've watched them closely, you've also thought to yourself, just when that voice was telling you, oh man, maybe the dream ends tonight. Maybe the undefeated run is over. Maybe now Florida State finally falls. That other side of you that's watched this toughness on display, that has seen them battle back time and again, that has seen them win games even when they were outplayed. See the Clemson game. That has seen them find a way even when they don't have access to all of their weapons. Even when they're sputtering or struggling on either side of the ball for swaths of game that has you really worried that it's in the balance in the moment. They have always found a way to bounce back and win. And so that halftime moment, Tom, I thought, you know what? Florida's in trouble. They should be up by 2 scores. They've had everything go right that could, including the worst call on a roughing penalty in a year in which I've unfortunately had to document so many in both pro and college football. And yet, Florida State overcame that too. And that was as egregious as it gets. And Jeff Heiser can go to hell. I can't fathom that guy should ever be a part of another game that is officiated involving Florida State. Really, the ACC has to take a look at his incompetence, because I don't think it's vindictive. I just think he's incompetent. There's nobody that watches that play. Nobody on earth. You could see the other officials didn't think it was roughing. They knew it wasn't. You could see they're almost embarrassed. They're a little sheepish. They're like, Jesus, Jeff, what do you think you got there? I mean, that was the look the one official gave him when he came over to consult him. Like, are you sure? Like, what'd you see I didn't see here? None of us saw it, Jeff. That was as egregious as it gets. And Mike rightfully lost his mind, but then gathered himself. As an aside, I will tell you, I don't have it in me. I would have been thrown out of the game. That have been thrown out of the game. There's that is so bad. It also affects the game. It affects the game. It impacts the game massively in a stretch where you're clawing, you're fighting.
The only touchdown you give up is that one.
Wow.
It's illegitimate. The only touchdown you surrender in the game is illegitimate.
And if you're talking about building to a place where Florida State's at now, where again, you find ways to win games even when things are going poorly. Find ways to win games when your personnel is decimated by injury. You find ways to win games when you don't play well. You find ways to win games on the road in hostile environments. You find ways to win 18 straight games. Well, for a little perspective, we know how difficult it is to build to a place where that is the kind of toughness you have, where that is the kind of skill and talent and hard work and mental toughness and coaching that you have. If you don't believe me, look at the other sideline. As undisciplined as Florida was in critical moments, when you have a player like Jamari Lyons spitting on a player, when you have the interaction that we saw on the sideline with one of their players and a coach, When it begins to fall apart, what do you do to overcome in those moments? Well, Florida State, they win games. That's what they do. They overcome those setbacks and frustrations and emotional outbursts if they have them or whatever it might be. Whereas Florida is now under 2 seasons with Billy Napier, 11-14. They lost 7 games a year ago after the bowl. 6-7 is what they were. They've now lost 7 regular season games, including 5 straight. So they should be used to losing 7 games. In fact, if you go back 3 years, they lost 7 games, but Billy wasn't there for that. So that'd be back-to-back 7-loss seasons, and yet members of their media are crying on camera.
That they are.
But they should be accustomed to 7 losses. I don't understand. Why was he shocked?
3 straight for the first time since the highway system, the interstate highway system. Outstanding.
So, they've got, luckily, a very long off season to evaluate their situation. They won't get distracted by going to lose a bowl game in which they kick a meaningless field goal at the end, losing by 1,000. They'll have time to think it over instead of contemplating what that meant.
Well, remember, Florida's not into moral victories. Kirk Herbstreit, week 1, Utah.
So that is a thing of beauty. And so is the win streak, and so is Florida State's situation as they go off to the ACC Championship game in Charlotte. I will be there. Many members of the staff at Warchant will be there to have it covered for you. I look forward to it. Should be a little chilly, maybe a little soggy, at least early in the week is the projection. We'll get together. We'll tell you what's going to go on while we're there and our coverage and have a good time with doing that as well. But I'm just going to be excited to be back in Charlotte where we started the year, Tom, where Florida State was forever catching strays from random writers and bloggers and podcasters about the arrogance it displayed for expressing its concerns about the financial viability of a conference that cannot compete moving forward at the losses in the financial column that they will endure.
Well, those bloggers are just killing time before basketball season and before the paycheck comes through for 30 cents on the dollar. But sure. Yeah.
So now you go there and, I figure this too will be a hard-fought game. I think that in spite of what happened with Louisville losing to Kentucky, and again, rivalry games are bizarre, and there were none better than, you go through and look at how fortunate we were as college football fans. Week 13 with all of the rivalry games, it's rare that you have this many live up to them. I mean, that was, and so I already mentioned 27-24 Alabama-Auburn and one of the craziest endings to any football game you'll ever see. And I was telling Matthew before we started the show, I'm a grown-up these days. I've got 2 kids. One's in high school, one's in 8th grade. I've got a lot of responsibilities. I don't cry over football games anymore. I don't get choked up over a win or a loss in a baseball game or a basketball game or a football game. I'm still passionate and I still care.
Kermit Whitfield, though, gave a little bit of a misty eye.
Well, I was happy for you.
Yeah, me too.
And so
Whitfield.
Yeah, that was an amazing moment. And I still am stirred. I'm still moved emotionally. But the results of games don't traditionally leave me in tears. I can get weepy, whereas in some ways, as you get older, you are more emotional. I joked several years ago when I reached my 40s that, if I hear a touching commercial, I can get teared up at the red light. But I don't for the results of games. Why do I bring any of this up? Well, I kind of bring it up because if at the end of the Alabama-Auburn game, when the camera panned to the stands and there were grown-ups, albeit young men and women, in tears, I thought, yeah, maybe.
4th and 31 might do it to you.
You might have got me on that one. You might have caught a misty-eyed Cameron in the stands if that was Florida State having a terrible season and in position to pull off an upset that certainly a 31-point loss to New Mexico State the week before did not portend of. And then here you are against your most hated rival to knock them out of the college football playoff completely. It was 0 chance at that point. And you've got the game won. You've done everything you could possibly do. And then somehow, some way that happened. You might have got me teared up in that moment.
I'll tell you, though, I'm confused because what you're telling me about how that game finished and how fluky it was doesn't jive with how I feel it's being presented, as though it's just some monumental triumph over a rival, just like Washington had a monumental triumph over a rival in the Apple Cup, just like Georgia really manhandled Georgia Tech cover, easy cover over the Yellow Jackets, versus what we did, which was barely escape. Once again, barely escape, unimpressive, unworthy of the college football playoff. I find it interesting that you describe those events that way, because based upon the way I've been consuming things about what happened this weekend, I don't believe you. I don't believe what you're saying is accurate.
I don't know that I've paid a close enough attention to that. I feel like I've said all along, if Florida State wins out, they're in, and they are. So it's not going to matter.
Oh, that's correct.
I mean, they're in if they win out. So it doesn't matter. But I do think, like, I haven't heard anybody describe the Washington win over Washington State as a good win.
No, it's crickets about that. It's indifference about that. It's silence. And for Florida State, it is elevated. The discourse is elevated for Florida State, even though the circumstances are quite different, and Florida State's win more impressive. Period.
Yeah, I think what it is too, partly is, again, everybody knows how good. It's a testament. If I'm going to play devil's advocate, I will tell you, and Florida State's in. It doesn't matter. I don't care what pundit says whatever they want to say. Florida State's in if they go undefeated. That's all there is to it. That's it. That's all. It's a game that they're playing over there for ratings. What I do think does happen is it's a testament to how good people thought Florida State was with Jordan Travis, and how little they think of that now, because Tate didn't look good. There's no getting around that. He looked absolutely like a deer in headlights, and that's unfortunate.
He looked like Michael Penix has several times this year. In fact,
Penix hasn't looked that bad as of late. But the point would be
Arizona State.
That was a while back now. I will say that again.
It happened.
It did happen. Other teams play bad games. We're able to say that. I think we all know that. Florida State's looked like ass several times this year, and so has everybody else. I just think
Florida put it on Arizona State.
Florida did?
Florida would put it on Arizona State.
Perhaps. I don't know that. That's true. You're giving Florida a lot of credit. I will say that, again, the fear that we have about how Tate would play kind of materialized a little bit there. I think there's a real good version of Tate, and it wasn't that one. That's out there. It's in him, and I hope that game brings it out, because you can now focus in on things that he does well, learn from the things he didn't, and kind of come into listen, I'm going to go back to something I'm going to say over and over again. It's remarkable that Florida State continues to win these games. This is a testament to how well coached and how tough they are, and how committed they are to each other and fighting through the full 60 minutes of football games. Because, again, they are not who they were when they played LSU. Florida State is all beat to hell. And you've got dudes playing through some things. I don't think we're not allowed to talk extensively about this, but there's evidence. There's surface level evidence when you don't have either starting tackle for the vast majority of these games. And when they do play, they're hardly 100%. And when your center is forever fighting like hell just to stay in the game, and he's a shell of himself. That's objectively speaking. Watch Maurice when he's healthy compared to when he's not. You don't see anything close to what he was in the games in which he was healthy earlier this year or last year. So you've got three critical spots on the offensive line that are either devoid of the player that's supposed to start there, or one that is playing there in spite of the fact that he's 60%. My guess, don't know what the doctor would tell you he is. He just doesn't look anything close to what we've seen him capable of being. And then Jaheim, you can tell, is absolutely hampered with that ankle. Every time he makes a catch, he comes up limping. And it's so he's clearly not right. You've got nothing out of Marquiston Douglas the entire second half of the season, really. I mean, other than the one trick play against Pitt. You really nothing from him. And we thought coming out of camp he was going to be great.
He was great in camp.
Yeah, he got passed over by Morlock and really has been kind of a up and down. Obviously, Jordan is out. And I think was playing through some stuff earlier this year and wouldn't run. And then you look, you can go on and on and on. Games without Johnny Wilson, games with an injured Keon, and so forth. Destin Hill, him and Hakeem Williams, where are they at? By the way, those guys were all trending to be very good at this point in the year. They can't see the field because they're hurt.
Soft tissue injuries. Remember the Jimbo quote? Soft tissue injuries are down 86%. Well, they're up 175% this year.
The injury luck that has befell this offense.
It's ridiculous.
This offense is unreal.
And then you had a flu game on top of that.
Correct. I think every team goes through one flu game a year because you're in close quarters, but sweet Jesus. I mean, it just adds to the fire. Now, the point I'm making is I don't care about whether or not they're playing anywhere as well as they're capable of, like we saw early in the season, or as well as we thought that they would eventually, that's what they would grow towards, right? They just get better and better and better. That happens when you're healthy. There's a synergy that builds. You get better and better and better. They really have had to fight and continue to fight to find ways to win games. And I'm sure that affects the way people view what they are, because they don't have these moments where they're just running away from people as easily as you think they should. But it's understandable given the amount of offensive players in particular they've been down each week. What I care more about is that they won all the games. And that has to matter for something. It has to matter. We get into what is the committee tasked with, if you'd like. Are they tasked with rewarding a season where the games matter, where you say, okay, so this team is 13-0. I mean, they won the games. That's, at the end of the day, it's a good schedule. It's better than some of the other teams that are being mentioned in that top four. So you're like, okay, well, it's right there on par with this schedule and this schedule, and they won all theirs. So at that point, you reward that and you put them in. The games have to mean something. They have to matter.
Well, they do.
Right, they have to, right? Or is it that you just pick the teams you think are the four best right now? Well, I assure you, had we been doing this many moons ago, at the end of the year, Florida State was the best team in the country numerous times. I know it was a different deal back then. This is the flaw of college football. They never really had a good way of deciding who should be playing for these championships. But if we go all the way back to the year in which Florida State lost to Southern Miss and Clemson and then rattled off 10 straight, and everybody in the country would have admitted at the time there was nobody better in the country at that moment than Florida State. But those two losses mattered. You lost to Southern Miss. Sorry, the Brett Favre game happened. You're out, because the games have to matter too. And even though I know and you know Florida State's the best team in the country right now, I can't put them in because they did lose those two games. This is the thing where you better define your terms very, very clearly. And these games have to matter. So again, sorry, Ohio State, you lost the game you had to win. You're done. You're out. You have a 1 in the loss column. And if we're differentiating between the 0 and the 1 loses out. Get the hell out. You're out. Peace. Goodbye. Thanks for playing. And I'm sorry, Georgia, if you somehow fall on your face and lose to that Alabama team, you're out. It's over. Goodbye. Thanks for playing.
Yeah. Alabama might be out too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't put them in over Texas.
No.
And you can't put them in over an undefeated Florida State team. So,
correct.
Sorry, you're out.
Michigan does what it's supposed to do.
Right. Beat Iowa. They'll go undefeated. They're in.
And Oregon's in. If it beats Washington.
Because it will have a more impressive schedule.
Yep.
And then you would have to compare that and say, okay, well, they're both one-loss teams. Who has the more impressive schedule?
Yep.
Oregon does. Peace. Thanks.
Yeah, the SEC's on some poor footing this week.
Yeah. Well, they better hope Georgia wins.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure the entire conference will root for that too.
Well, I mean, and kudos to that Georgia team. I know this is an uber long first segment, but it deserves to be because it's the end of the regular season. Kudos to that Georgia team. I know 31-23 is unimpressive. They've won 29 consecutive games. That's sole possession of the longest winning streak in SEC history. They passed the two 28-game win streaks that Alabama has had. One of those was under Bear Bryant ages ago. The other was under the great Gene Stallings, who I love and will always shout out to. They've tied Michigan, who back from 01 to 03 did it. Miami, 90-92. Florida State, as we well know, 2012 to 2014. And Clemson in 2018 and 2019. These streaks are hard to come by. They're really hard to accomplish, especially in that conference. Kudos to Georgia.
Well, and they almost beat Tech by more points, or as many points as we beat Florida by with our backup. I mean, so they were close. They were close.
But, I mean, none of us are going to say that Georgia shouldn't be in. They should.
Oh, of course.
Of course. And they're going to beat Alabama. That was something to behold there on Saturday. But it is a flaw of the sport, and it's where you get a little frustrated. It's like years ago, I ripped the Heisman, and I said, well, I want my program, Florida State, to have as many Heisman winners as possible because it shines a great light on what you're able to produce in terms of elite talent. Do I think that we objectively ever know who the best player in the country is in a sport like football where you're dependent on everybody else for you to shine? Not really. Is it the best player on the best team? Is it the best offensive player on the best team? Because there have been years where offensive linemen were the best player on a given field week in and week out, where they were so dominant that one player made everything else possible within the offense. They were that kind of good, or a defensive lineman, or a middle linebacker, or a wide receiver or running back, right? But so often that's either given to a quarterback. It's only given to a quarterback on a winning team, a really high-level winning team, not just a team that goes 8-4, but a team that dominates.
Right. And they might finally again this year, like they did with Lamar, but it's an outlier. And
it has to be
it has to be a very thin field otherwise.
Yeah, it has to be very, to me, it has to be a thin field, as in there's 7 or 8 guys that we can compare notes to here. Like Bo Nix compares nicely, so do a few others. And then you're just going to say, well, listen, man, where the hell would LSU be without that kid?
And that dude per play is 10 yards, I think.
I mean, he's unbelievable.
So he's a human first down.
And there you go, a testament to Florida State's defense that somehow, some way found a way to shut that guy down when they were at their healthiest.
Yeah. More impressive than anything Michigan has done this season. More impressive than anything Washington has done this season.
And admittedly, this is where the complexities of this argument come into play, because is Florida State the team that played so well in the second half of that LSU game and shut Jaden Daniels down? Right now, are they that team? Well, they are defensively. They're not offensively.
It's a good thing we had this defense this year, though.
It is.
For real.
It is. And in the second half of that game, Saturday night, complete dominance over Florida's offense. And we can go through the yards per play and everything else that you want to look at in that second half, and it is abysmal for Florida. Once Florida State got a handle on what Florida was doing, and once Florida State got out from under the shadow of their own goalposts,
and once Max Brown stopped dropping dimes into NFL-sized, windows from 25, 30 yards away.
Incredible throws. I'm like, those may be the 2 best throws I've ever seen. Really? We're going to do that out here tonight? It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Warning. The following Zaxby's ad may contain messaging upsetting to Philadelphians. Zaxby's took the iconic Philly sandwich, the quote-unquote perfect Philly sandwich, and made it perfecter by putting fried chicken on it. That's right, fried chicken on a Philly. And while Philadelphia might find it offensive, you can find it at your local Zaxby's. Finally, the Philly done right. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
Hello, I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic.
Traffic cameras are everywhere, providing valuable evidence if you've been in an accident.
But if you can't access that evidence, it could just be your word against theirs.
Basic Brooks is partnered with Roadproof to have access to all their traffic camera footage. If you've been hurt in an accident, give us a call and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Let us find your video evidence so you can come back stronger. Call us now at 850-777-7777.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
The leaves are starting to fall, the temperatures will start to fall, and the prices are falling right now at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Incredible dealer discounts up to $5,000 are available on all hot spring spas, the industry leader in hot tubs and spas. If you've never experienced the sensation and relaxation of having your own hot tub in your backyard on a cool evening, you're truly missing out. The cold months are coming, and now's the time to set yourself up for the best winter season you've ever had. Plus, you'll gain the added health benefits of reduced stress, relief relief of sore muscles, and better sleep. You'll feel so relaxed after a nice soak in your new hot spring spa. You'll experience some of the best sleep of your life. Head over to Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road and check out their huge showroom packed with the best selection of hot tubs and spas available. And ask about getting up to $5,000 in discounts, low interest financing, and a free accessory to make your hot tub dreams come true. If you're ready to relax, Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
As how precious few the games that remain are. Like you don't have many more opportunities to take in the sport that you love most. You just hope. Now, obviously, first things first. You hope Florida State beats Florida because F Florida. And so you start with that. That's how your day begins. You open your eyes thinking that. Screw Florida. You wake up before you've even poured your first coffee of the day. You're like, oh, we get to beat Florida's ass today. This is going to be a good day. Now, that's hard on Saturday because it's a 7:00 game.
It was interminable. Yeah.
And you and I, we're doing the pregame show at 6, and I'm like, man, it's going to be forever even until we get to the pregame show.
Longest 45 to 50-minute pregame show we've ever done.
And so all that's on your mind. But you realize you have the privilege as a hardcore college football fan. I get taken a lot of other games at least. I'm going to try to make the best of this. So even though we don't play until 7, and I kind of wish we kicked off at noon because I just want to see us play and get it out of the way. Fine. I'll compartmentalize. Got it. I'll put Florida State over here out of my mind for now. Although every few minutes, just a quick fleeting F Florida crosses your mind. Got it. Me too. Yep. Every now and then a buddy sends a text on game day, something akin to F Florida, and you respond, yes, indeed, always and forevermore. And these are the kinds of things that go on throughout your day. Meanwhile, you're consuming all the other football, and you're like, all right, let's take a look at everybody else. Let's see what's what. And I thought all day, like, I just want to see good games. Give me great games. Sure, there are some things that could play out that would benefit Florida State that I'd like to see, but for the most part, I don't think they're going to happen. So let me just, like I thought, we already knew Oregon had killed Oregon State, so that was back here. You thought, maybe Washington State gives Washington a game, which they did. And you kind of thought, well, maybe, I don't know. I mean, somebody's getting eliminated. Michigan or Ohio State is out after this because the Big Ten is so terrible. I mean, can we just say that? Stop talking like the Big Ten's any good. There's 2 good teams in that entire league. That's it. That's all. 2.
And I wonder how good they are.
I think they're pretty good. But the point is, doesn't matter.
It's the first semblance of an offense either defense saw. And after a good start, it got kind of ugly there.
Well, yeah, because I think both are good defenses. But it doesn't really matter because we don't know. From every week, you just sit around and watch. You're like, oh, well, they're not going to get tested against Purdue. I mean, hell, the other side of the ledger is that Iowa, offensively challenged Iowa, who somehow once again went under the total of 24. We're going to start having totals in Iowa games of 6, and I'll be tentative about going over. It's always the under.
Yeah, I think this weekend's final will be 17-6. 17-6 for your Big Ten champion Michigan Wolverines.
I have a feeling you have to move the ball some if you're Iowa, or you really risk getting boat raced here.
That is being boat raced.
No, I
against
think,
Iowa.
I know, but they may lose by 30. That's you gotta get out from under the shadow of your goalpost. You gotta do this. You're gonna get worn down. Anyhow, so as I sat down to watch Michigan Ohio State, while I might take issue with that being called the game, and that's fine, whatever. I'm sure if I were from that area of the country, I'd roll my eyes at other rivalries too. We all do this, but that's my mindset as I sat down. I said, "Give me a good game." Well, we got one. It's a great game. Great game. 30-24, best you could ask for. Good football game. Well played. Enjoyed it. You get 24-21 Washington State. Hell, if you stayed up and watched the snow and you enjoyed Iowa State, Kansas State, that game was awesome. 42-35 in a blizzard. Really fun game to watch. I didn't happen to catch a lot of Old Dominion and Georgia State. Wish I would have. 25-24. Great effing football game right there. Rivalry weekend is killing it. On and on we go. Oklahoma State having to go to 2 overtimes against BYU, 40-34. Another great game. Tom, I know you were locked in on Syracuse Wake, 35-31. Incredible football game.
I didn't have any energy left to do the pregame show. This is unbelievable. This made my day.
Southern and Grambling, 27-22. Utah State, New Mexico, 44-41. Overtime, 2 overtimes. Incredible. Kentucky, Louisville, 38-31. Crazy game. By the way, Kentucky had lost 5 of 6. Louisville at home is a different animal. Kentucky goes on a 24-7 run in the final 17 minutes to win that game by a touchdown. Jesus, Jeff Brom and Louisville, get it together.
No. One more week. You stay.
No, I'm not saying this upcoming. I'm just, come on, man. And it's year 1. He's done a great job, but God, that's a tough pill to swallow. Jack Harlow must have been in tears. Tired of that guy getting camera time over and over again. Talentless. Then you have Florida State, Florida, 24-15, which was probably a tough watch for a lot of people. We were riveted, especially after that call. that impossibly bad call.
Oh, the world saw that before they got bored. You know, they all saw that call. Ridiculous.
My God. But my point would be we got a million really fun games. Hell, it turned out that Georgia Tech was a good game. Northwestern and Illinois. Didn't watch a second of it. I should. 45-43. Where'd that come from? So enjoyed it. And I'm way behind on all of this. I'm sure I have. I have not checked the chat yet, but I just heard a woo loud and clear. So let me go back here and check it out. James B. Jeff, my brother. And I thought that Norvell was holding Tate back a little in the first half. I assumed it was to keep him from making those errant passes you and Tom mentioned last week. His greatest strength is throwing the ball down the field. Yeah, listen, I think it's funny. When we did the pregame show, thanks, James B. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it very, very much. And I'll get to you, Seth, and Dave here in a second. When we did the pregame show, we got into a little bit of a conversation because some people asked, and I've seen it asked since, like, at what point would Mike want to turn to a true freshman who missed a big chunk of the season and missed practice after practice with that injury in Brock Glenn? Now, Brock Glenn is very promising, and I would not be surprised at all if Brock Glenn was your starter next year. I wouldn't be. But the fact remains he has missed a ton of reps because, unfortunately, he got hurt early. So as quickly as he ascended to the second string or 2B as opposed to 2A, Tate's always been 2A, but 2B, he was right there. As quickly as he ascended is as quickly as he fell off, not because of anything he did wrong, but because of the injury. If you're not getting reps over and over and over again as a freshman trying to prove yourself, it is awfully difficult to get to a place where a coach can feel like in that moment, while your defense is playing well and you're on the road at the Swamp at night and adversity is hit, can I turn to this kid now? Maybe, but you'd have to be very desperate. I think Florida would have had to score again before you would have said, okay, you know what? Tate's not there. It's not happening. I see the faraway look in his eyes. I'm going to make a play. I'm going to make a move here. I don't think he wants to do that, and I think Mike's patience was rewarded. I think he calmed him down. The 90-yard drive was absolutely huge. The ability to put that together, that 2-minute drive, that is a huge deal.
I think he was playing for his job at that point, though, because
Tate was, yes.
Tate was because it's off of the safety. So the previous drive was the safety. Thankfully, Napier calls a triple flea flicker thing that helps when they were in plus territory to short circuit that. Start at your own 10-yard line. If he has the faraway look again, because there's no excuse for the safety. Like, that is the big mistake. He didn't make it with his arm.
Yeah.
He made it with.
Everybody saw that they're bringing pressure.
You
know
see they're bringing pressure.
Yeah, you got to go hot there. Yeah.
Right. We can't wait. The time is now.
Yeah.
And if you're on your own 35-yard line, it's 3rd and 16 or something like that, and you take a sack, all right, you're in your end zone, and you know that. And I think there's a part of us that really want to usher Tate along as though he's in a super fragile box with tissue paper, and we want to make sure he gets there safely. And it's like, part of it's true. It's the swamp. It's your first real start. You had one a few years ago. This is your first real start.
This is your first real start, yeah.
But you've been in the program forever.
Yeah, he's got to play better, man. He did not play well. Yeah,
you've been eligible to vote for like 5 years.
No.
All right, so
I'm with you on this.
At some point.
I'm with you on this, but I don't think you have a viable option right now.
I agree, but if he gives you the faraway stare on the drive that turns into the 90-yard drive, and it's answered. He makes throws. He's forced to in 3rd and long.
Yeah, he makes some big throws.
Throw to Jaheim on a 2nd and 10.
Yes.
Like, so he makes it, and it's a moot point by halftime. I grant you. But if he gives you that, I'm
not processing.
I don't know where I am. Look, after that drive, Florida has the ball with a minute and a half to go, and you're down 12-0, and you hope that you make one more stop. I think at halftime you might have to make the switch. Thankfully, it never comes to that.
I think if it's 12-0 at half, he would not have made the switch, is my opinion. I don't think he would have. I think they would have maybe even simplified it more and said, okay, these are the throws. I'm going to ask you to make 5 throws.
But the point is, Tate did what the team did, which is, okay, you've used up 8 of your lives. Let's see how you do with the 9th. And he made it count.
Yeah, he made it count. And so he gets credit for that. But this has got to be a very productive week. He's got to be better this week, and they have got to figure out what he's comfortable with.
But they got to be better around him, too. It's not like that was all on Tate. You have 3 plays in the first quarter, one of which is Trey just going AWOL.
Yeah, that's a middle school run.
And Mike said it in the postgame, that there was video leaked of his postgame thing. He was pissed off about that run. But just before he hands the hammer to Trey to hit the rock, I was pissed off about that first run.
Well,
and then you got Lawrence in there who found the minimum amount in the second drive. Yeah. There's a promising play there on the ground.
Yeah.
And you come away with 1. Like, there's 10 there. And you've got drops, and you've got issues with the sideline where I get it. It's on Tate in a sense, in a big time sense, to not take a delay of game. But Mike, you can spend a timeout in that moment, protect him. You've got to know it's the swamp. So you're being failed in a lot of different ways. Keon can catch a punt. You're inside your own 5 all the damn time.
Mm-hmm.
He does in the second half.
He makes a play.
And he makes a huge play. But you're being failed by a lot of guys around you. So I don't want to say it's all on Tate, but at some point the safety happens, and that is on you.
Yeah.
Oh, and
no,
you
no,
do
no,
look
no,
lost.
no. He's given us ample opportunities to point out that he struggles sometimes. I mean, Tate has really struggled. I mean, he's only ever really had that great second half against Louisville.
So is it between a rock and a hard place? Yes, absolutely it is. But I don't have the luxury of time if I'm Mike Norvell. I've got to find a way tonight. And I think he was on the brink. Personally, I think he was on the brink. Thankfully, Tate responded.
And we'll never know. We didn't have to know. And Florida State won the game, covered, wins going away. Wins going away.
It was a laugher.
I will tell you, anytime they line up to run duo and they've just decided this is the get you some, here it comes. And that's the best jump cut since Carlos Williams.
Smooth.
It's ridiculous. That jump cut is 15 yards. It's like the silliest thing I've ever seen. Who does that?
It's the sweetest of cherries on top because you already have the first down before he makes it.
Yes, because he makes the safety look silly, and then it's just get you. I'm on roller skates. Check it.
He should be praised for that too. It was pointed out on the broadcast. We don't like when he's timid at times, but it was patience that did serve him well on 2 key runs.
You have to be when you run that. Yeah. I mean, you've got a lot. There's a lot going on.
I hear you. And we were talking about boom and bust with Tate. I've said this a few times now on different broadcasts, but Trey was the boom or bust player.
Yeah.
Trey was.
Yeah.
That first half, he makes 2 decisions on runs that make no sense whatsoever. And sir, this is a night where you need to elevate your quarterback and pick him up. You're doing the exact opposite.
Yeah, but I'm going to point out, and I'm going to continue to talk about how beat up this team is because I think it really shows up with the inconsistencies of the offense. They don't block it up real well, and they don't have their starters. They don't, and many of the starters that they do have are compromised. It's hard to watch right now. It is. It's hard to watch. They keep winning games, and that's all I'm going to focus on is they keep winning games because that is the proof in the pudding that they are tough sons of bitches. They don't have everything in their arsenal. They don't have it. They can't do it. And that includes their starting quarterback. They just don't. And they find ways to hang in there and take advantage of opportunities when they get them.
And that's the positive for Tate, is that now that you've been, it's not going to get as adverse as that situation ever again.
At least not in terms of environment.
Correct. Which is a force multiplier. And I would like to think that we're going to have more than 3 plays in a quarter. You warm up, you run 3 plays, 1 throw in about an hour and 15 minutes.
I think my text to you was, good to see us have the ball for 30 seconds in the first quarter.
Ali. People are saying Tate hate. No, it's an honest assessment. Do you think he did nothing wrong? Did Tate do absolutely nothing wrong on Saturday? But here's the thing, is he did what was necessary. He made big-time throws when he had to, and you hope that it's a launching point for confidence for this weekend.
When you talk about where Florida State's offense is at, you have to assess the whole thing. There are things that you really like about it, and there are things that, clearly we're lacking. The numbers alone tell you that this isn't the same offense that we saw earlier in the year or even the last – goodness gracious, at one point we were being outgained like 180-something to like 6. Sorry, guys, that ain't going to get it done. You've got problems on your hands there, but they, once again, overcame that. So you've got to point all those things out.
From there, the Gators had like 25, 30 yards.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, the adjustments are great. I'll get into that defense in a bit. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Tallahassee Police Department launched a new webpage, provides a one-stop destination for individuals interested in joining TPD's team of law enforcement professionals. Tailored to prospective officers, the webpage serves as an invaluable resource for those considering a career with TPD. It offers a wealth of information, guidance, and resources to streamline the application process, including detailed information on eligibility requirements and qualifications, quick and easy access to all forms and documents needed to apply, information on training, career development, and benefits, frequently asked questions, and contact details for further inquiries, as well as a quick link to TPD's application. The Tallahassee Police Department invites anyone interested in a fulfilling career in law enforcement to visit jointallypd.com. This user-friendly, informative platform is the first step for applicants toward becoming a valued member of TPD's dedicated team, proudly serving the community. TPD is striving to reach net zero vacancies for sworn officers. This is Rachel Lene with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 59. Winds out of the north 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 41 tonight. Overcast. Daytime highs approaching 57 tomorrow. Cloudy. Temperatures below average Wednesday and Thursday with highs from the upper 50s to the low 60s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 54.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. Everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
the SEC. That's nice. I think, what are we up to? 12 ACC teams bowl eligible?
Is that right? It was at least 11, yeah.
It's a ton, yeah. I got to go back and double check that. I think that we're right there. Listen, it's going to be a fun bowl season for the league. I don't care about the league. I only care about us. But we still have that. Maybe it's the last time we ever note that because we're like, well, it doesn't matter. We're not in that league anymore.
Would have been nice to be able to roll that out in the post-game show, right?
So the last 8 possessions for Florida, we were commending this defense as we should. Let me get the comment out before the music starts. Florida had 3 points the last 8 possessions. That'll work. Or 5 punts in there. Oh, bunch of 3 and outs. Hour number 2 forthcoming.
So I have been in the operating room most of my career, watching people have orthopedic surgery, watching people get knees replaced, hips replaced, shoulders fixed, and I knew there had to be a better way.
That's Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a medical director for QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in non-invasive regenerative treatments for pain relief.
I see so many people who could have been helped before they got to the operating room if only they had known about regenerative medicine.
QC Kinetics, a natural alternative that uses your body's own healing properties to help restore and repair damaged joint tissue, providing long-lasting relief without drugs, surgery, or downtime.
Well, it feels great when I do get to see somebody who we help, who I know I kept out of the operating room. It's amazing how we change people's lives without surgery.
Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
This is Jamie McClenney with Trek Financial in Tallahassee. While domestic equities closed down for the 3rd consecutive month at the end of October, valuations remain near historic highs based on most historic metrics. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges you will face in retirement. While you can't control performance, you can control the risk in your portfolio. Markets are going to do what markets are going to do, but a clearly defined risk management protocol can help to mitigate large drawdowns in your retirement nest egg. Valuations remain near historic highs based on most historic metrics. If you're concerned where this might be headed, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a risk-focused portfolio review. Or you can visit us on our website at trektlh.com. That's trektlh.com.
Make Jamie your first call for that second opinion. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Jacksonville Jaguars with a 24-21 win of the Houston Texans yesterday as a 1.5 road favorite. Total closed at 48. The under cashed at 45. The Jaguars back at home 1 week from tonight against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Jags open as a 7.5-point favorite. The total 41 at Everbank Stadium. The Monday night matchup today, Minnesota a 3-point favorite at home with the Chicago Bears. 44 the total at US Bank Stadium. ACC Championship game, Bank of America Stadium Saturday. Florida State a 4-point favorite over the Louisville Cardinals. The total 51. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Shop Macy's Cyber Monday specials for big savings on gifts they'll love now while supplies last. Like 50 to 65% off warm winter coats, 50 to 60% off party-ready shoes and handbags, and 20 to 65% off the hottest toys of the season from Sharper Image, Discovery, Jeffrey's Toy Box, and more. Plus, get it faster with store pickup at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
From local town councils to Capitol Hill, agents who are realtors are standing up for what's right.
We're here protecting property rights, here advocating for the issues that affect our neighborhoods, here championing fair and equitable housing for all. Because we are realtors, bound by a code of ethics, driven to serve our communities. We're here for it all, here for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Fasig.
And I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks Law Offices.
When you're in an accident, traffic cameras can be the best source of evidence to prove who's at fault.
That's why Fasig Brooks has partnered with RoadProof to have access to all their traffic camera footage.
With RoadProof, we can search our network of traffic cameras to find the evidence that could help you win your case.
Call us today to see if we can help find the proof to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists, providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable, expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron
course, but also the stakes very high as Florida State could win an ACC championship. It'll be good to be back in Charlotte. We've been back because of the preseason festivities, but haven't been back for a game of any importance in a long time. And here we are with the ACC championship. And of course, the Noles undefeated, looking to stay that way. I'll get up there Thursday, I believe it is.
Say hi to the Irish pub for me.
I will. You figure I'm going to go? You thought I'd swing into the Irish pub there?
To quote somebody at Corner Pocket when I asked him how he was doing recently, sad. That's how I feel. I'm going to miss that.
I'll take a picture over a pint.
Please do.
And send it your way. I will.
Friday, you know what?
Cheers you, buddy.
If you can, Friday at some point, what I'll do is I'll sneak out to a place that we love and get a Guinness. And I'll cheers you from Tallahassee.
Yeah, do it for sure. And look, I'm going to run into a ton of Noles up there. I think we're going to be well represented. I've talked about this a lot, and that is that this team has been through a lot. Mike Norvell talked about that today, and is so eminently likable. They find ways to win games in spite of real adverse situations. Now, that's not always true. Like, some teams win games and they really do a lot of things that, to get in their own way. 2014 did that. That team was loaded, but their head was elsewhere. They had already accomplished it. They had already climbed the mountain. They had already won the national championship, and you could tell. A lot of guys were thinking about their future. A lot of guys were thinking about kind of, let's do what we got to do to win games, but ain't nobody trying to get hurt out here. A lot of business decisions were being made that year. And it was frustrating to watch that team. Now, it made me laugh because they would get other people's hopes up, and all of the haters and all of those that really despise Florida State had to watch as that team's talent overcame their attitude. And they kept winning and kept winning and kept winning and kept winning 29 straight, and they went undefeated, and they made the college football playoff. Eventually, it caught up with them.
That team was the great mosquito lamp for the haters, though. They couldn't resist it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they let themselves be known each week.
Oh, yeah, they outed themselves all the time.
They did.
And then Florida State would come back and win, and the famed Not Tonight haters with DiCaprio cheersing.
We took notes the entire year. We
did.
remember.
We were like, oh, I'm on to you. You told on yourself again. The internet's good for that. So, that was interesting, but it was not a fun group. It was not a likable campaign. This group is, man, it's truly so much better than its individual parts. It's unbelievable to think of the sum here of what they've been able to do. Knowing what we knew about any given week, how many guys are out or how many guys are playing at 60%. And then for whatever reasons, it seems to change every game. Something goes awry, and they just don't really get all that flustered beyond a series or two. They always find a way to get locked back in. And I talked about it in hour number one, just the toughness. And I think I admire, there are a lot of things about program building that's been fun to watch. When you watch a new coaching staff come in, you're looking for the telltale signs that there's an infusion of life and belief. And is the messaging something that is consistent across the board? Does the head coach live up to his own ideals? Are the assistant coaches tasked with the same messaging consistent? Are they able to, around every turn, seem to have folks pulling in the same direction? And that's really what concerned us early on. I don't want to relitigate this, but at the end of Jimbo's time, you knew things were awry and that you had a toxic locker room. Willie came in and was never able to get that cleaned up. And they had their own problems with consistency. And so you realized, well, this isn't going to work. And again, I'm not going to harp on that. But by the time Mike got here, it was really a lot of us, especially old school guys like myself, that have seen it operating to peak efficiency. And they've seen it operate in a lot of ways that reveal the flaws and the problems within the organization. And so when Mike got here, he came in terribly adverse conditions. You're on the heels of back-to-back failures, right? Meaning the end of the Jimbo era. So it was toxic by the time he left. Of course, Jimbo was 5-6 through 11 games that year, did not coach the final game, so he left with a losing record. And you get into Willie, and we knew pretty early on, you and I have said before, the Syracuse game. We went, well, that's about the end of that. And then you're waiting. And with Mike, I did appreciate, even in the ugliest of times, including that 0-4 start that we reference all the time, messaging stayed the same. I just wondered if it would take. Right about now, Florida fans are beginning to wonder, is the messaging right? Is it going to take? We're lost, rudderless at sea. Yes, you are. And it's not about you. Get the hell up out of here. Back to us. So then you saw evidence, and it began to happen. And then you want it for guys because you're like, good job, good job. These kids believe, these kids are fighting, these kids are working. And when you see kids who work hard every day and kids who work hard with one another and for one another, and a head coach, and I'm going to give him all kinds of credit here, who's very consistent, day in, day out, you know what Mike is going to be. And it's important. Kids need that. Kids want discipline, and they need consistency. They need to know certain things in their lives. Because when you're young, you're crazy. Your head is often off in left field. You're thinking about girls and what am I going to do for a career and your family and school and your place on the team and am I liked and all this nonsense, right? So you need to know these are the consistent people in my life. I know when I'm here, I can trust that this guy's going to be doing this thing and this guy's going to ask this of me and this is what I have to do for him and this is how it's going to be every single day. And all that other stuff can continue to be wild, but I know I have this sanctuary. And that happened. That happened. You began to see it. So then you thought, okay, well, how does that manifest itself? What happens from here? What does that portend? Well, usually success, right? Well, how much success? Because that's the next question after you have a measure of it. Where do we go from here? Well, last year it was 10 wins in the face of adversity, losing 3 straight games. How do you respond? You're bought in, you believe, but now you've had setbacks. What's going to happen from here? I'm pretty sure they're going to stand up straight, walk tall, and turn it around. But let's see, how much success does it portend? Just got done asking. Well, turned out that they won all of their remaining games, and they came into this year with even higher expectations and more talent. So the floor raised. Now you thought with more talent, deeper talent, same consistency of message and hard work, they could achieve a lot. Bam, it happened. Beat LSU right off the bat, second year in a row, suck at SEC. We've announced our presence with authority. Couldn't have known it at the time, but it turns out to be the best defensive performance against LSU in what is perhaps a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels of any team in the country. Certainly, even within their own league, that is true. So Florida State had nowhere to go but up and continues to ascend. And so that's what you hope for. That's what you continued to watch. But then the adversity sets in yet again. They have the flu game against Boston College. They have a series of injuries to key players, mostly on the same side of the football, and that is very aggravating. It's one thing to disperse those injuries evenly amongst certain segment groups, and you overcome by putting a backup here or you move a guy there. But instead, for Florida State, for the most part, it's all on offense. One by one, an offensive line that we thought would be deeper and, truthfully, more talented than it is, turned out to be not as talented as we hope, and all beat to hell. And so you lose your starting left tackle, a starting left tackle, who had been all ACC, is a good football player, figured to be an even better football player, has not been available. All right, now you're shuffling. One of the transfer portal guys you thought would be better than he is. Is he of value? Yes. Is he elite? No, not at all. Another guy who is really good and got hurt a year ago is now playing for you and you think is going to be really good as the year goes on. And guess what? He gets hurt too. And he's missed a few weeks and all of a sudden you're mixing and matching, man. And your center is a warrior, but he's been dealing with a lot of injuries for 2 years. And so you never know. Is he there series to series? How effective can he be? That is hard. That disrupts everything that you're doing. Now you add a few weeks without a Johnny Wilson. You lose the backups at key positions that are emerging stars. I would argue that Akeem Williams right now would be a massive part of this offense had he not had a setback with injury. Destin Hill would have a more integral part of this offense, would be a more integral part of this offense if he had not gotten hurt. He did. Jaheim Bell, the version you saw at the beginning of the season that you knew was on his way to superstardom, is half of what he was. He's playing, he's tough, he's good, he matters, he impacts the game, but not in the way that he would have if he had remained the version of the player we saw to start the season against LSU. So then he goes down, and he's back, and he's in, and he's out. And then, of course, ultimately, the crescendo of all bad injury luck possible, you lose the heart and soul of the football team. You lose your starting quarterback. You lose Jordan Travis, who was the glue, who happened to emerge as an elite Heisman candidate player at the most important position. Now you lose him before you play a rivalry game with your season on the line and everything you've accomplished at stake. Everything. All of it could be thrown right out the window. And you go and win a game in which you didn't play all that well in an obnoxiously loud place that's very difficult. One of the worst calls you've ever seen to start a game. And Jeff Heiser, who sucks and is an embarrassment to officiating, with that call. Next thing you know, you've got an attempt to get you out of your game with a lot of extracurricular stuff after the play, including a player in Jamari Lyons spitting on one of your players. Now that, I think men listening to this show, maybe all humans, but men, we're prone to fight because we're the lesser of the species. But anyhow, that said, you know and I know that if a man spits on you on site, that's it. There ain't no conversation. You can deal with almost anything else. A guy can twist your arm at the bottom of the pile. A guy could grab your package at the bottom of the pile. It's problematic. But it's not the same as being spit on.
Bring your own guts, right, Clemson?
It's not the same as being spit on. And yet, remarkably, Florida State kept its cool. Kept its cool in the wake of all of that, including being down 12-0 with a backup quarterback who was saucer-eyed, who was struggling to find his composure. And that all adds up to what I speak of in regards of why it is easy to love this team. It's not just your school. It's not just because you live here. It's not just because you went there. It's not just because you like Florida State or Mike Norvell. It's the guts, toughness, mental and physical toughness, week in and week out, getting you out of situations to remain undefeated that has you in awe at this point, because they're not a smooth operating machine that you walk out and you go, okay, well, they're going to hang 52. This offense is unstoppable. We've seen a lot of teams like that, including the 2013 team, and we see some occasionally around the country any given year where they're like, well, you could beat them, but you're going to have to score 40. You could beat them, but you're going to have to do this, this, and this. We're not that right now because we're just a hodgepodge of what we were, and yet they just keep winning and keep winning and keep winning, and all that mental toughness, all that physical toughness, all the adjustments, all of the things that they make. I mean, look, this coaching staff deserves a ton of credit. These players deserve a ton of credit. There's a part of me, obviously, I want to win the national championship. And it doesn't matter that I don't think they can. This 12-0 season cannot be sullied. Listen, we want to win in Charlotte, want to win the conference championship. I'm going up there. Obviously, every Florida State fan is with the expectation that they're going to complete the season and go undefeated, go 13-0, win the ACC title. That's what we're all hoping for. But I'm here to tell you right now, at 12-0, if it doesn't happen, I still say this season has been a raging success. They are upwardly mobile big time. They have real culture. They have an elite class coming in. They have infrastructure. They have an administration who's on the same page. They got the battles in. They've got a head coach who's consistent. They've got players who believe in it, who want to be here, who sell it when recruits come in. They've got the fans back. It's all in place. Now, again, would I be really disappointed if they go lose in Charlotte? Yeah. It's not the same, though, if you go lose in Charlotte. Not that you will, and I'm not chalking this up to a loss, not at all. Not with the way this defense is playing right now, and not with another week to prepare and get more comfortable, all of that, not with what the coaching staff has done. But I would just tell you, with a backup quarterback, it's a little bit different. If you went there with Jordan and lost, I think we would say, that's a failure. You shouldn't lose this game with Jordan Travis as your quarterback. Shouldn't. And I would agree with that sentiment. It is a little different when it's a kid who hasn't played a lot and is not of the same caliber.
Yeah, it's a little different, but the thing I love about this matchup, and the reason I like this matchup that's upcoming more than the one this past weekend, because of the circumstances surrounding the game with Jordan Travis being out, and also the quarterback on the other sideline. You're telling me that the defensive line is turning a corner from really good and something that can be leaned upon to elite right now, right here, against a quarterback like Plummer, who isn't going to make 5 dudes miss and then fire the ball down the field 50 yards on a dime. This is a guy who needs to have his timing. He's a guy who has to anticipate. He can't double clutch. He doesn't have the arm strength to bail himself out of a tight spot. Jordan had that. Tate Rodemaker, to a degree. has the arm strength to bail himself out if he can get off of the first free rusher.
Yeah.
If this internal clock and his awareness is up to speed, he can make the throw. This guy can't. I look forward, very much so, to seeing what this defensive line, after the first half performance from Braden Fisk. There are some plays that get lost in the shuffle here that were made by Farmer, Fabo, Malcolm Ray in a big spot. But then the way it finishes with the defensive ends, with Jared Verse owning the second half.
Yeah.
With Patrick
Payton played great the whole game, yeah.
Owning the second half. They could have had a tackle for loss or a sack on every single play, pretty much, in the second half of that game. You're telling me that is the defensive line that's getting off the bus for this game?
Yeah, they're playing great right now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Bring that on.
And Akeem Dent, I can't express enough gratitude for the way that he played, because this is a kid who has always kind of been up and down within the fan base, had his good days and bad days. He's been inconsistent, but we've learned how valuable he is when he's out. I mean, you miss him badly because he gets everybody lined up and he knows what he's doing. And this game, physically, he was very, very good as well.
Yeah, he was on an island on a few plays, and he came up with the plays. Made big plays. Yeah, a lot of guys took turns wearing the cape. A lot of guys on that defense took turns wearing the cape. Braden Fisk in the first half, Akeem Dent in the first half. Later on, as you said, it's Verse and Payton. You had a lot of guys take turns. And there are individual plays where you go, oh, wow, that's right. Beyond the sack, Akeem also forces a fumble. It goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a scramble play. You're in a desperation mode as a defense.
And you roll over the ball, too. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. He was all over the damn field.
Yeah. Is Fisk bigger now than he was 3 weeks ago? Is it just the pants? Like, my man looked massive in this game. You know, I always talk about the Bama table. Certain uniforms seem to accentuate. I was like, well, good Lord, Braden Fisk has gotten bigger.
I think that's the first time we'd broken out the gold pants with this year's uniforms.
They're just beautiful.
So it could be that.
Yeah, well, let's stick with it. They look good. And he was wreck it. He was just wrecking it over and over and over again.
Well, in pure JCS style and nomenclature and terminology, if he plays like that again this weekend, I think you'll allow him to drop those pants.
He can. I'm not going to say anything to the man anyhow, because I couldn't stop him from doing anything. He's a giant. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Orthopedic pain and injury deserves effective treatment options now, so you feel better fast. Whether you have joint pain that won't subside or an urgent orthopedic injury, we are the specialists to get you back on your feet. And there's only one thing better than fast care: expert care. We believe you deserve both. TOC, only experts. Learn more at teamtoc.com.
There's no doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers, and that's not all, Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270-146.
Ethics Rocks. Join us on December 6th for an unforgettable evening of music and fun in support of the Florida Ethics Institute at the first annual Ethics Rocks Benefit Concert at Goodwood Museum and Gardens.
The Ethics Rocks Benefit Concert is all about combining our love for music with our commitment to advancing ethics through education. So grab your friends, put on your dancing shoes, and come on down to enjoy some incredible live performances from the Nitro Groundshakers and our headliner, the Rockets.
All funds raised will be used to support FEI's educational mission. VIP and general admission tickets are on sale now at floridaethics.org/ethics-rocks. That's floridaethics.org/ethics-rocks.
Don't miss all the fun. It's the annual Ethics Rocks Benefit Concert, December 6th at the Goodwood Museum and Gardens, featuring some of Tallahassee's favorite local bands, the Nitro Groundshakers and the Rockets.
Get your tickets today at floridaethics.org/ethics-rocks.
The leaves are starting to fall.
the temperatures will start to fall, and the prices are falling right now at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Incredible dealer discounts up to $5,000 are available on all hot spring spas, the industry leader in hot tubs and spas. If you've never experienced the sensation and relaxation of having your own hot tub in your backyard on a cool evening, you're truly missing out. The cold months are coming, and now's the time to set yourself up for the best winter season you've ever had. Plus, you'll gain the added health benefits of reduced stress, relief of sore muscles, and better sleep. You'll feel so relaxed after a nice soak in your new hot spring spa. You'll experience some of the best sleep of your life. Head over to Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road and check out their huge showroom packed with the best selection of hot tubs and spas available. And ask about getting up to $5,000 in discount, low interest financing, and a free accessory to make your hot tub dreams come true. If you're ready to relax, Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
A cup of Joe, Java, Brew, Go-Go Beans, Brainwater, Liquid Lightning, Wakey Juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roastmaster himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Come on now.
Yeah, that's great. It's all-timer back in the day. Ira Schoffel going to join us here in mere moments as we'll welcome him in. Is he there? He's good? He's ready to go? That was quick. Let's fire it up. Anxious to talk to Ira. What's happening, partner?
Nothing, man. Just enjoying the Run DMC, buddy. I'm fired up.
You and I both. Same age, same old school. Yeah. All right. So here's what I wonder. I loved in your piece on warchant.com where Norvell talked about he likes to make sure that the players do celebrate their successes. I think the exact quote is, we have a job to do, and that's to get better this week, and we're going to work our butts off to make sure that we achieve that goal and that objective. But if you don't still celebrate the steps along the way, you build confidence through those experiences. That's cool, because I'm really left with that same level of gratitude for what this group has accomplished along the way. It hasn't always been pretty. It's a lot of stopping and starting due to injury and like up and down play. But, man, they just completed a 12-0 perfect regular season, and they are 2 years removed from being 5-7. And it is effing awesome to come in here on a Monday and talk about that.
It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around. And, and when you took the big picture from where they were to where they are now, and it's funny, man, like you see some of these other teams, the teams they beat, and, it's so cool that you've left that neighborhood. I think it's like you start having some success in your life and you start moving up, and then you go back and visit. Hey, honey, remember when we lived in that house?
Yeah.
Remember we lived in that apartment? And Florida State now is looking at those programs and seeing them do the things they do that are stupid or silly or dumb or poor, and you look at them and say, okay, remember when we used to be that team? Well, we're not that team anymore.
Yeah, and unlike the team that a couple of years ago that got rattled down there with some, nonsense before the game and in the game, this team was able to kind of look the other way and get over that because Florida did everything in their power to try to entice them into doing something stupid. You have a spitting incident, which you rarely see. I see a lot of things that are ugly in football. That can never happen. How that didn't turn into a benches clearing brawl is a testament to restraint. And then also, I make it a habit to point out that we've really done some things that have damaged the game of football, and now officials are always looking for reasons to throw flags. Well, there's no worse call than that roughing call early, and it affected the game. It had a material effect on the game, and I think Mike was on the cusp of losing it, did for a brief second, but they overcame that as well. There were lots of moments like that throughout this game. That's a testament to that maturity and that experience coming through.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And that play was the first foul call was so bad because it really it seemed to me that Adam Fuller's defensive game plan and was not to let Florida convert third downs and march up and down the field, but very much like we don't believe you can execute a 13-15 play drive and score in the red zone against us. And so really trying to keep things in front of them. And I thought they were doing that, but you give them a free first down inside the 15-yard line that they didn't earn. It should have been 4th and goal from the 20.
Yeah, it'd have been a field goal attempt. Yeah, and we're not sure he would have made it necessarily.
Exactly. And so you give them that first down there. It was ridiculous. But also, to the bigger point, just to take the game plan Florida State took into that game. I think on both sides of the ball. I think Mike Norvell clearly. I would have liked to have seen the game plan if they had gotten better field position, maybe.
Yeah.
But my guess is it was going to be conservative no matter what. Like, I think Mike Norvell and Adam Fuller sat down, and Alex Atkins, they sat down last week and said, what do we think Florida can score against us with that kid at quarterback? If it's not more than 20 points, okay, we're not going to let you lose this game for us. And so it became very much a controlled running the ball. We don't mind punting. We're fine with that. And so from that standpoint, one of the things I haven't posted my 3-2-1 column yet, but I will. I think it's going to look a lot different offensively this week. I think they're going to feel like they have to score points against Louisville, and I think they're going to. It's not a hostile environment, and I think you're going to see. I think this game is going to give us a better picture of what Tate and this offense could be than that game where I think they just wanted to make sure they didn't lose.
It'll be a big game for Tate. I do think he needs to play well. He's got to play better than he did on Saturday night. I think you're right. I think they'll open it up a little bit more. Some of those games, some of those nerves that he had to have felt in that game should be behind him now. I mean, he gets another full week with the ones. He did come out of this game victorious. Yes, he was up and down, but he did make some big throws, especially on that 90-yard drive. So he should have a measure of confidence garnered from this game as well. He's got to play well. I think certainly Florida State's going to have to play well to win. I don't think Louisville will be that easy to beat. They're well coached as well. I know that our fan base will look at them losing to Kentucky and think, oh, well, come on. No, I think they're going to play hard and they're going to play well, and they have some guys. So this should be a fun game. But Tate has to play better, and I think he's certainly capable of playing better.
Yeah, I think so. I think he is capable, and I think he knows that. And I think, again, I think that when you look at the situation in terms of, the way the game plays out, hopefully you'd like to think they won't be backed up. You'd like to think he won't be in a lot of second or third and longs as he was in this game. And, I thought it was, Mike Norvell talking about Trey Benson's first run today was pretty funny. He basically said, I couldn't believe he just did that. Well, that play was huge. It's the first drive of the game, and instead of 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 4, it's 3rd and 17 or 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5. It's 3rd and 17, and now that drives. There's no chance there. Then you have the delay games. Then the next drive, he took a couple shots, one to Keon and one to Johnny. They didn't complete either one, and so it's like everybody's freaking out about Tate, but really there was a lot of other things going wrong as well.
What was something that maybe we haven't talked about in the aftermath of this football game that either surprised you to the good or the bad? And I guess you could do it on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. There's a lot of elements to this game that kind of get overshadowed by certain other aspects of the game. But I thought there was a lot that we could dissect here. So I want to give you a chance to take a stab at the plate and tell me what you maybe haven't talked about or we haven't talked about that you thought was vital to their success.
I didn't defensively. I mean, we talked about a lot today with the coordinators, and I know that you guys talked about it. I think I'm not sure when you were on, but I know Tom and Gene talked about it some on the postgame show.
Yeah.
But really, Akeem Dent, I thought was a shining star in that game because Florida State made some mistakes defensively, and maybe it's credit to Florida for what they did scheme wise to get some guys in space, but they did, and those are big time players. And Akeem Dent has had his moments, like you think back to, 2 years ago when he's been dealing with injuries mostly, but he's had moments where he's whiffed in the open field on some of those tackles. Well, he was money in that game, and it was huge. On the offensive side of the ball, I think I thought that they might get more out of Johnny Keon. Johnny came through with a few big catches, but he also didn't come through with a couple of big catches. And Keon, didn't get targeted a lot, but he did have a couple opportunities that didn't come down with him, including one in the end zone. And so I'd expect those guys to come up bigger. That was, to me, the only disappointing thing was, and, again, during the game when everybody's complaining about Tate, and granted, he didn't play great. The taking the safety was not good at all. But I thought you'd see more guys step up. You'd see more guys. And really, the two guys that really stepped up in that game were Trey Benson, on some of his runs, and Jared Verse defensively, and Akeem Dent. But I really felt like maybe those receivers would step up bigger for a first-time starting quarterback. So you look for that to happen this week.
I know we'll never get a completely clear answer, and we'll be able to maybe figure some things out when you go to practice. How much of it we can talk about, we don't know yet. But I wonder, do they have an opportunity? I'll just keep it real vague. Do they have an opportunity to get anybody else back, whether that be on the offensive line or, before this game against Louisville?
Yeah, Alex Atkins I think he's being very candid. He said last week that Robert Scott was getting close to being back, and that Bless Harris was in the same boat, maybe a little bit further ahead. And then neither one of them played. They went through warm-ups, but then they didn't play. And that was one of the biggest head scratchers to me in that game was, I really felt like, okay, now we're going to see them. This is a huge game. Maybe we'll see Robert Scott back in there or not. He said that, they both could have played, but he really wants to make sure that they're as good as possible, as healthy as possible. And he said he's convinced they're going to need them down the stretch. Well, here we are,
yeah,
in the playoff if you don't win this game. So, I still think that those are probably your two best offensive tackles, and they really haven't played a lot. Robert Scott hasn't played a lot the whole year. And, but he has been practicing, and Alex Atkins said that today. Look, he's practiced, he's close, and he thinks he'll play well when he gets in there. I mean, that'll be a big boost whenever it happens. You like to think it's going to happen this week.
I'll hold out hope that Bless Harris is back. I see no way that Robert Scott's back. They've got to play him at some point. He's practiced, as you said, over and over again, and then he never plays. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it. He's gonna have to prove it to me. Always a pleasure, brother. Be good.
Thanks, FC, man.
Yeah. I mean, how many times can we hear that he's practicing and he's fine and he could have played? I mean, if he could have played, you should play him. I mean, we're in desperate straits here. We got both tackles out. If one of them can play him. I just don't see it.
That is not a talking point that makes it to the national desk either. We were talking when Jordan went down after North Alabama. Where is the precedent for moving teams up and down the rankings from the committee over the years based upon injury?
Yeah.
Injury and Kelly Bryant is an example for Clemson when they lost to Syracuse on a Friday night some years ago. That was taken into consideration and spoken about on the record by the chairman at the time. In 2014, Oregon was moved in front of Florida State. A one-loss Oregon was moved in front of an undefeated Florida State because, according to Jeff Long, everybody's favorite commissioner in the history of the College Football Playoff Committee, they didn't have their left tackle.
Yeah.
So left tackle injury did make it to the desk of the committee and on the television program and in those press conferences in 2014 that Florida State has been able to accomplish all that it has with more than just Jordan Travis going down. I'd be interested to hear if that ever makes it. They only got 2 more cracks at it, tomorrow night and Sunday. I don't think it matters. We'll be in the college football playoff if we win on Saturday, but they talk about it like it's a Jordan Travis only issue. We have been beaten to hell beyond the normal attrition of a football season on the offensive side.
By the way, we always talk about the middle 8 being a big deal. Florida State dominated the middle 8 in this game. It should be noted. And then I would also point out that, they have total plays and then there's scrimmage plays. So it's kind of deceiving, but, we ran 65 total plays. They ran 73 total plays, but scrimmage plays were 55 to 59 from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, well, and we should have scored 4 touchdowns in this game, and that would have been 4 touchdowns and 6 possessions.
Yeah.
It's just you start so behind the 8 ball with not having the football at all over the first quarter.
Very
that it feels the numbers don't look great however you slice them when you're talking about yards per play. It's awful compared to what everybody else has done to Florida. But you're behind the 8 ball, you're beat to hell, and by the end of the game, if Keon doesn't drop out high, nothing. That's a catch. That's got to be a catch 12 out of 10 times. Then you would score 4 touchdowns in your final 6
Yeah,
possessions.
he's made more difficult catches, that's for sure. He would tell you that he should have caught that. By the way, win percentage at one point for Florida, well into the meat of this game, was 88%. So if you
it's the free kick return past the 50-yard line at 12-0
with a 12-0 lead. Yeah, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And if you're a Florida fan, you're saying if we go down and score in that situation to get it to 19-0, Florida State's in huge trouble.
Yeah, Billy didn't trust that they could run their motions and confuse the linebackers all the way down the field. He thought a trick play was necessary to go for the jugular.
Yeah.
And he was wrong.
Cost him deeply. Florida State does not get on the right side of the ledger for win percentage until we're like 88 plays into the game. It's crazy. You're kind of that when you go back and look at that course of the year, game to game, you won't find too many situations where it's that high for the other team and that long before Florida State's anywhere approaching being on the right side of the ledger.
This is why I think what the defense did was so impressive. I get that they have a backup quarterback themselves, but the matchup with that backup is tougher for us, I think, than Mertz is. It's just, when we and this will be tested this weekend, when we play a pocket passer versus somebody who's mobile, I think the linebackers come into conflict less often, which means better news for us. It also means you can pin your ears back and you don't have to run some mush rush stuff and play underneath and play conservative with the defensive line. So I think in general, it's a very impressive thing that this defense did, because usually when you're on the field for 14 out of the first 15 minutes, in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, you're out of gas. Not only were they not out of gas, they were the strongest unit on the field across the ball. Either side, when we're on the offense or they're on offense, vice versa.
Yeah.
The defensive line finished like they were off the field for 20 minutes in the first half.
It's really remarkable given what happened in that first quarter. Yeah, I talked about that middle 8. We had a successful play rate of 57% during the middle 8. Now, you look at early downs and all the stuff that happened before that, whole lot of failure. And this is a team that has failed a lot on first down all year long. First down is not this team's friend. No. They struggle mightily to get themselves in high leverage situations. They're behind it all the time. And that's because they can't line up and run traditionally.
And we try to run a lot on first down, but it should be pointed out that on the 90-yard drive, it's counter left, and it does work, and it finally hits for 15 yards.
Well, it's what opens everything else up. Yeah. Once you get that going, and it's true, they did. They rose up and had to make that happen. They were more successful in the middle 8 running the football, and that changed the game. You go back and look at 57% success rate on rushes during that stretch.
You got 2 big ones too, and then the second half, the big run left with Meach at left guard.
Yeah,
that was something that played out for most of the game. But then the drive after we score that second Trey Benson touchdown, Roddick comes out there, and I believe it's Meach that slides over to right guard. And I don't know if that was scheduled or if Keandre got banged up. But I sure do like 71 at left guard and 75 at right guard. I think that works out better for us.
By the way, I reference havoc plays a lot. You talk about a defensive effort that wins the day. Win passing, havoc rate for Florida State defensively, 38%. For Florida, 11%. That's a big difference. That's huge. You generated tackles for loss 10. And 7 of those were against the pass, and you ended up having, obviously, 5 sacks. That's 24% of the time the dropbacks. They were getting to him.
They hit the hell out of him, too. Yeah. He was hit all night long, and we did pass pro pretty well for Tate. It's just the play that we all remember is on 18. It's not on the offensive line that they overload, and we take a safety.
Yeah, they didn't do a terrible job. No, you got to get rid of the ball. Got to speed it up. Everything's got to get going a little bit quicker. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. At Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
4 people were taken to the hospital after more than 100 shots were fired into a home in South Georgia. Police say they responded to a home in Cascade Manor Drive in DeKalb County, Georgia, around 2:50 a.m. on Thursday. When they arrived, they found 4 victims in the home with various gunshot wounds. All 4 were taken to area hospitals, 2 of which were in critical condition. The victims range in age from 37 to 57 years old. 3 other people were inside the home, were not injured. The shooting remains under investigation. Leon County honored former County Commissioner Bruce Host at a ceremony Wednesday unveiling the newly named Bruce J. Host Northeast Branch Library. Host served on the Board of County Commissioners from 1992 to 2000. During his tenure, Host was involved in numerous projects, including the construction of the Northeast Branch Library and the widening of Thomasville Road. Host is also a veteran who served in Vietnam. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Partly cloudy this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 59. North winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 41 tonight, cloudy skies. Highs level off around 57 tomorrow, cloudy. Dry with temperatures a bit below average Wednesday and Thursday, and highs from the upper 50s to the low 60s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 57.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
License CAC 1816186.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chunglo, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chunglo. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Continue to improve upon what's already been a fantastic climb and step forward. You know, we came into this season talking about the 10-win campaign a year ago and what could you do to best that, and where is the program at, and how much better will it be this year than last, and what's a reasonable expectation. And we all had pre-season predictions, and here we sit. You know, 12-0 by any measure is a massive success and step forward.
What is the higher number for you this weekend? Your personal game total between Louisville and Florida State, over under, or the amount of Zaxby's that there are here serving an undefeated city of Tallahassee, a 12-0 city of Tallahassee?
So I didn't, I'll need to do this right now. And so I will do this right now. Let's get here first of all, and let me get an answer based on what I know the number to be. Okay.
Our win streak also matches the amount of years of Golden Chief support from Zaxby's.
18.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yep.
Closing in on 19.
What a way to honor Zaxby's. Florida State, well done.
Delicious Zaxby's. Florida State, according to DraftKings, just a 2.5-point favorite. Okay. That obviously directly reflects Tate Rodemaker. I think with with Jordan, you're going to see 3 to 4 points more. That's a 6.5, maybe 7.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, easily.
I wonder if they're questioning other things too.
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, they watch the game too. It's interesting. The total on this football game is below 50. I'm going to say that there are more Zaxby's than the 49 predicted here in the total. There are more Zaxby's. I'm going to go over that.
You're going to need it. A lot of people here that aren't going to be able to make the trip.
Yeah.
You're going to do it for them. You're sacrificing for them.
I'm going to do that. What do you think the total, as you ponder the deliciousness of Zaxby's and the myriad brick and mortar locations
I'm
around
try
town?
to keep my focus. I know I'm locked in.
What do you think the total?
Margaret Thatcher.
Is oh, you gonna do times tables? Army Navy.
The game total?
Boy,
that's a future line of future lines. That's in 2 weeks.
It's December the 9th.
37.
29.
Whoa.
Gotta hit the over on that, don't you?
This is a year for unders.
I know every year it's an under.
I played the game under at halftime of New England, New York yesterday.
Well,
and
10 to 7 was your final.
Yeah. At the time, I think it was 7-7 at the break. Game total was 23.5. I played the under.
Wow.
Took it.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Can I give you some, for those that like to really, really enjoy the downfall of a legendary coach, you got your opportunities right now with Bill Belichick. The Patriots suffered a 10-7 loss to the Giants. And here's a small taste of how bad it gets. They became the first NFL team in 30 years to lose back-to-back games despite surrendering 10 or fewer points in each game. Belichick has now lost 2 straight games when his team allowed 10 or fewer points. Before this season, Belichick had only lost 2 such games in 28 years as a head coach. That's a lot of games. NFL teams are 49-2 this year when allowing 10 points or less. This is how that breaks down. The Patriots are 1-2. The rest of the league is 48-0. 48-0 if you give up 10 or fewer points if you're a team not named New England. Holy Jesus. That is something. Tough times.
That is gold. That stat is golden because he deserves it. We all know. They skirted some things. Spygate and all that kind of stuff.
I don't care about the Spygate's worse than the Deflategate. Deflategate didn't matter, but yeah.
It's not as effective gold, though, as Warchant gold is.
Yeah, and I posted on the Renegade board. Did you see that?
You did. The Renegade Room. Jeff posts in the Renegade Room.
I think I was the first person to post in the Renegade Room on the staff. Is that accurate?
No, I did over the weekend.
I don't believe you.
There were logistical questions over the weekend, so I answered
I'm going to pull this up. I don't think that's true.
You were the first to post just because. I was posting for a purpose.
Yeah, you were doing tests and stuff. Nobody even knew. I posted something that maybe has not been replied to in any way, shape, or form, but I don't know.
I prefer to operate in the shadows, but you don't have to with Warchant Gold, and you've got until midnight tonight to save. It is 40% off. 40% off to new members, and that gets you the following benefits. 15% off every purchase, all membership long, however long your membership is, to Garnet and Gold. It gets you an ad-free experience, videos, pop-ups, you name it, and access to Jeff's Renegade Room. I'm going to name it Jeff's Renegade Room now.
I posted, welcome aboard, gold members, and then I gave the Beavis and Butthead laughter because it's gold members. It was really funny, and nobody even caught it.
Please do more of that.
Nobody even caught it. It's brilliant.
You didn't get a like yet? There was no reaction?
I don't know if there's likes. Are there likes?
You can hit like underneath, yeah.
Ben Spicer liked it.
So that's a pity like from the staff.
By the way, on my, I don't think anybody knows it's me because I'm under Pop Stargel, so I don't even have my name.
That's
on
his
it.
handle, Pop Stargel.
It does says Ultimate Seminole Insider. I have like a total of 2 posts in my life. But yeah,
But it'll be more in the Renegade Room. So sign up for Warchant Gold to talk to Jeff. He's on there 24/7.
No. I'll get there.
365.
I'll respond to you. I will. Only in the Renegade Room. None of that riffraff. Only in the Renegade Room there. We're hanging out with the gold members.